We are passing the
Yep.
server to Facebook and YouTube, and
Perfect.
Alex, you're the only one we really worry about.
that's true.
I like it.
All right. It's officially out there now.
Awesome. And so right now we have people joining, right?
Yep, they'll start coming in. Yep, looks like they're finding it. So, yeah. You hit the slopes at all, Isaac?
Yeah, I mean, I do to hang out up there. Yeah, no, I don't ski or snowboard. I grew up playing basketball, and in Utah, you play basketball in the winters. So, like, I never got into skiing. My wife and her family are big time skiers, and I don't know. I'm one of those people that are like, do I risk it now and maybe go get hurt, and then I won't be able to golf during pick my battles.
So now you talk about people who cruise the groomers, cruise the powder, cruise the trees. You're a hot tub cruiser.
Exactly.
Man, I used to be on the slopes all the time.
Oh yeah.
Last time I was on the slopes was probably with you, Alex.
Oh wow.
No, I've been up more than that, but
well, it's different now. I haven't been yet this winter. You have to get a reservation to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're trying to limit the number of people on the mountain because of COVID. So
outside on the slopes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah, my father-in-law, he's a patrolman up there, so yeah, he's told us at one of the resorts here, and he's told us a lot about the restrictions they have in place and whatnot. So it's just something like the county health department makes them do, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but like I can understand limiting the number of people sitting next to one another on a in the gondola or on the lift.
Yeah, true.
Right. And I think that's more where they are.
Here we go, guys. All right. So skiing's over. Refresh Friday has begun. And we want to welcome Isaac Hernandez with us today from Podium. And Isaac's been there for 5 years, which in the world of Podium is ancient. So Podium's a young company that has exploded. And we were talking to Isaac before the show started about what it's been like to experience that kind of growth. And Isaac, you don't mind telling us what number employee were you?
Yeah, I was the 76th employee at Podium, and we just, I think, hit over the 800 mark. I want to say last month or a month and a half ago, something like that.
Wow.
Yes, you've added, 717 employees in 5 years.
Yeah, it's been tremendous growth, and it's been awesome to see a couple building moves. We now are in our own building and just opened up our second building. So it's been some immense growth and just been an awesome ride.
And that's in no part due to a good product, but also one of the things that Podium's well known for those of you who didn't know this, is their sales department. You got a well-oiled selling machine over there.
Yeah, no, that's what I always share, right? My background's always been in tech and telecom, and I've worked for billion-dollar companies, and I've always told everyone I've grown more in my sales ability and sales skill here at Podium. This startup that I started at, and over those billion-dollar other corporations that I've worked for, right? We've invested a lot, and we believe, that's part of the reason we're successful, right? We invest quite a bit into our team here.
What do you think are some of the things that maybe set you guys apart from the sales side, especially and to also make sure everyone knows that Podium just isn't in the automotive side. You guys, span across, I guess pretty much all retail environments, right?
Yeah. We're in home services, retail businesses, professional service businesses, really just, across pretty much medical, healthcare. So yeah, we're pretty much across
Wow.
any businesses, interacting with customers. That's who, we're doing business with these days. So
When we first met Podium, y'all had a measly, I don't know, like 2,000 or 3,000 clients. It was tiny. Where are you at now?
I think 60,000 plus. Yeah, I think we're 60,000 plus now. So yeah, it's quite a bit. So and growing, right? And growing every day. That's for sure.
Yeah, last year, was it last year or was it in 19? I think you guys won the was top 5 fastest growing companies in the United States.
Yeah, we when it comes to awards, we clean house on those, right? We've hit Forbes several times. We've hit Fast Company, in the automotive industry. We just won an award with Brian Pash, as well. And so, yeah, we continue to rack up the trophies, is what we call them. But we're not satisfied, and we want to continue to win more awards and continue. More importantly, just provide that service to our customers where those awards just, are a no-brainer for us to win, right? Because we do a good job.
And a great product, as Bruce Hartz pointed out a moment ago. So,
hey, Bruce.
Also, where are you all?
Yeah, we are based out of Lehi, Utah. It's like 30 minutes south from Salt Lake City.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we do have, but we have offices in Australia, Brazil, and then we do have, remote employees across the country, right?
Yeah. Yep. So,
what's your current percentage of remote employees? Just curious.
Off the top, I couldn't tell you like an accurate number on the sales side. I would probably say probably grown to 15-20%. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
most employees are home based, but we're bringing in talent from anywhere we can. So that's for sure. So.
And is the percentage of remote employees a bit higher right now in response to COVID?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, it's kind of sped up a lot of that process, right? We have a strong inside sales team, but again, COVID has helped a little bit, but we've always been, a remote friendly company is what we call ourselves, right? And for us, it really is just about hiring professionals, right? Like hiring people, the best that are out there. If you're the best, we want you on our team and we want you running with us, right? And so wherever you're based out of, we'll take a look. That's for sure.
Cool. Well, there you go, folks. Anyone looking for a job? Here's Podium.
Definitely.
So getting back to COVID for a moment, that's what sparked our interest in inviting you on today. Was to talk about the response to the payments feature inside of the Messenger app, and that you guys launched. I think it was in April of last year. Was that about right?
Yep. Right. Yeah. I think kind of in response to. Yeah, I mean, it was something we were always planning on, and just kind of sped up, right?
Yeah. So, what was the initial feedback on that, and how's it been going and used since? That's a loaded question, so I can come back and break it down for you again if you need me to.
No, you're fine. Yeah, look, it's been going great, right? Like it really is one of those things, where we've grown from this reputation company, right, where we started to now we truly are a customer interaction management platform, right? And so essentially, I just always tell customers, like dealers, whoever I'm talking to, really any type of interaction that you are having with your customer, we want that to be happening in Podium, just overall to provide a better customer experience. And that was kind of the same response with payments, right? And especially with COVID going on, we started to see less foot traffic in our dealerships, right? And, people weren't sure if dealerships were even open. There was like, well, how do I test drive a car, like during this environment? How do I buy a car? And so, yeah, payments was a great fit, because a lot of people, and mainly dealerships, right? Like a lot of people were weary about coming in. So now with Podium, coupled with, our messaging platform, you truly could provide a touchless experience to your customers, right? And like tout that online. And payments it's just been a great fit because it continues to be text-based, but as convenient as all of our other functionalities, right? Like we put a lot into it to just make it as easy as possible for customers to, pay for, whether it's a deposit, down payment, a service RO, whatever it might be, like it can be ran through Podium.
Ooh, and which of those three things is getting the most use? Would it be paying for ROs or getting deposits?
Yeah. I think it's I think it's probably like even throughout, right? Because a couple of things we're seeing, especially like with payments, is okay. We talk about service, right? Like, hey, you can just shoot out a text message, before they come pick up the vehicle. You really can provide a touchless experience with Podium. We have some of the unique functionalities of integrating with, Apple Pay and ACH and whatnot, and Android Pay even. And that comes to play even with like deposits, right? Deposits we're seeing being collected even more because now one of the things we're seeing in the industry, right, is look, we all know there's a shortage in inventory out there, right? And so dealerships continue to be, behind. And so we're seeing, a customer base start to reach out a little further than they might have before, right? And they're willing to drive to the dealership because you might have the vehicle they have, but how do you ensure to provide a good customer experience and that car's still there when they come? It's collecting the deposit, and you make it easy by just shooting them a text message. And then with our cash transactions, a lot of dealerships like it too, because, we basically have eliminated the process of going to the bank and doing a wire transfer, right? Or getting a cashier's check and waiting for it to clear. Like they can literally pay, for a full vehicle directly through Podium, through our ACH functionality.
Yeah,
nice.
I tell you that
the
that Apple Pay is dangerous, man. Every time, man, especially, yeah, of course via mobile. I mean, you see something you like, and it says Apple Pay, and it's just like 2 clicks, and you're done and ready to go, man.
Oh,
do you see a lot of dealership customers using the Apple Pay side of it?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a good balance, right? It just comes down to, whether they set up the Apple Pay or not on their phone, which, we're seeing more and more consumers start to adapt it, right? Like just how convenient is that functionality, like,
so convenient, so easy.
How many times I've forgotten my wallet and I'm at the drive-thru and I'm like, oh, dang, I don't have my wallet. You guys take Apple Pay before I put my order in? And they're like, yeah, we did. Okay, cool, I can order then. Let's do it. But I agree, it is dangerous. I debated whether I should set it up on my phone because I don't know if I want to keep spending on it, but it's too convenient not to.
I hear you. I never thought I would use it because I've always made sure I would get a case that is also sort of doubles as a wallet. So, there's still a few retail stores that I go to that doesn't accept it, such as Lowe's. Usually that's at least a weekly trip for me. But it's one of the few places that doesn't accept the Apple Pay. I'm like, come on, guys, get your shit together. Because it's, just, I don't know. We're all just becoming too lazy. We don't even want to take our debit card out to pay.
All about convenience, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you were actually might be the only platform that is truly using the Apple SDK or using the Apple messaging setup in the car business. I should say, sorry, the only messaging app in the car business that's using it that I know of. So, and what that means is somebody shoots you a message through there, you're going to get a blue text if you're an iPhone user. And
okay.
so,
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those things where, yeah, Apple users, can implement, like, and message with businesses through Apple Business Chat, right? And again, it's just one of those things that just another convenient functionality, and now Apple has provided it. And yeah, we are one of the, I know of one other company that does it, but yeah, like we're like one of the ones that have adapted it up front, right? Because I don't know, blue bubble versus green bubble is the hot
Is that really all it is? Or I guess it's more secure, right?
Yeah, it's more secure, and then again, like it does allow you to basically message the business directly, and that you're messaging that business directly, right? And so you just provide a much just cleaner experience again, like because you're talking to that dealership and you're not texting, in some cases a phone number, right? I think that's one of the frustrations.
Where it's not spam.
Yeah,
We all
exactly.
get flooded with, spam texts anymore.
well, more so, I tell you from, we're up here in Canada. We call it Vermont, but the cell phone service around here is not great, and I think that's the case in a lot of rural areas. So as an iPhone user, somebody who sends me a green text, I'm never sure if I'm really communicating with them or not. Whether those texts are actually going through or not is a hit or miss, and often it's a miss. But, when I hit Wi-Fi or have at least a 4G signal, then the blue texts all happen. And you know that somebody's receiving it. You can get read receipts. You can see that they're writing back and things like that. And for an iPhone user, blue is better by far. So.
Yep. Definitely.
And you can chat from your computer that way too, which is
correct.
Quite convenient.
Yeah, kind of the thing that Apple wants, right? Is kind of an Apple ecosystem. And so for us, it made sense because one thing we tell our dealerships is be where your customers are, right? And make it convenient for them there, right? The customer wants what the customer wants. And so the easier you make it for them to communicate with you or to really just interact with you, the more likely it is they're going to do business with you and continue to do business with you.
Yeah, without a doubt. Make it easy on them. That's the name of the game now. It's all about how convenient can you make it for me. I'll pay a little more for that.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And that's ultimately like what we've built our foundation on, right? Like it really comes down to convenience and customer experience, right? But to take it even a step further, like I would say, like it's about customer experience, but for us at the dealerships, right, it's also about employee experience, right? Like how easy can you make it for your employees as well to use the systems that you've invested in, right? Like how much do you have to get them to train on? And that's what we're seeing over here at Podium. Dealerships are able to consolidate. I've had dealerships consolidate 2 to 4, processes, other vendors or partners that they're with all into our platform. And so, how much stronger is that dealership when they bring on new employees and it's like, hey, I just have to, train you on this system when it comes to interacting with customers, right? I don't have to teach you this one, and this one, right? And so it really comes down to customer experience and for us employee experience, right? Like how easy can we make it for our employees to interact with our customers and provide a better experience?
Yeah. There's I hate to bring Matthew Haken up because we talk about him often, but he is a bit of a beast over at Prestige Volvo. Don't know if you know him, Isaac, because you're laughing. So.
Matt. I was the one who got him to get on Podium. It was at NADA,
really?
San Francisco NADA a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was Sunday, and I just pulled him over to the booth and chatted with him. I think it was in the last hour, and he saw the vision and decided to partner up with us. So,
because of you all and something else that I won't mention, he has really stopped using his VinSolutions CRM for anything other than just we've got a deal that we need to get approved through DealerTrack and pushed into Reynolds. So like his people don't use the CRM anymore because of Podium. That's pretty much all they communicate through.
Yeah. How does the Podium platform replace a CRM though, Alex?
So there are some issues on that front. So for them, they don't. They're not so great on the tasks and whatnot. So they have an outsourced BDC who handles a lot of that for them. But when it comes to CRM as a babysitting tool, I think Matt has just said, F it. It's just a lot of noise. So
yeah,
he's consistently in the top 5 Volvo dealers in the nation and selling, at least a used car, if not 2 for every new car he sells. So something to it.
Isaac, do you guys integrate in with any of the automotive CRM companies?
Yeah, we do. It's very, rarely that we don't, integrate with them. And ultimately, like our functionality, because we've been asked, right? Like, hey, like, can we use this as a CRM and whatnot, right? Is that what you're doing? And really for us, it's like we just continue to just stay in our lane of like customer interactions, right? Like that's what we want to do, right? Like, like I have a CRM that I use here at Podium, right? And so, but when it comes to interacting with customers, through messaging, through video, through payments, like that is where Podium really stands out, right? And that's why we partner with CRM companies. And yeah, it's very rare that I don't integrate with a CRM in one shape, way, or form, right? So obviously some of our integrations are a little bit more direct, but like I said, it's very rare that I don't integrate with every CRM out there.
Cool. Just out of curiosity, what CRM do you guys use?
We are Salesforce.
Okay.
So we use, yep.
Yeah, you get to be a certain level, you almost have to go that route, huh?
Yeah.
That was my guess.
60,000 businesses, it just gets up there, right? Like it's a lot. So
hate to see that bill.
I'm lucky I don't see it. I don't have to worry about it, right? So
the way they charge.
Yeah. Well, getting back to using Podium and COVID, have you seen any changes other than people using payments? Is there more usage of messaging?
Oh yeah. It really just has kind of sped up that process, and I know you all have been talking about this, and we've been talking about this since the pandemic had started. Was just like, hey, like, if you didn't embrace digital, like it forced us to, right? Like you have to embrace it now. And like moving forward, it really is one of those things where like, we opened up a world to our customers of like convenience, right? Like of, hey, I don't have to come to the dealership, for a couple hours on a Saturday. Like I can do most of it and get kind of the deal I want prior to coming to the dealership. Then it's like, hey, just let me take it out for a quick spin, right? And let's get through paperwork. And so like really, and then like as you discuss like messaging, like I think the one thing it's done is it's made us get better, right? And like embrace messaging. What I mean by that is like training employees, right? Like even for us in our strategy as we work with dealerships, I always tell them like, hey, when someone texts in, the first reaction of your sales reps are typically going to be like, pick up the phone, and they want to call that number because they have the cell phone number, right? The person's opted in and they want you to text them. Sales reps just so used to, let me call them and just see if I can get them here. And it's like, no, like that, like strategy we have to change. Like they've asked us to text them and message with them where they're at, right? Whether it's texting, Facebook, Apple Business Chat, right? Like any of these, Google Click to Chat, like we have to be able to kind of interact with them and train employees on how to, and like make it real, right? And make it genuine. Because I think So one thing I've always told all the dealerships that work with us, and even the ones that don't, like, all their employees are assets to them, right? And they're talented. They're talented people. Look, anyone who can sell in the car industry and sell well is very talented, right? Like it just, like, there's no other way to put it. Like you are very talented if you are a good sales rep in this industry, right? And so let them use their skill set, right? And how do we translate that over to messaging? Like, embrace the emojis, embrace using exclamation points. Like, it really just comes down to just making it a genuine experience, right? Because the more I feel like I can do business or like interact and message with the dealership the same way that I do with like my best friends, the more comfortable I feel, right? And the more likely it is that I am to buy a vehicle from your dealership.
Yeah,
Embrace
no
the
doubt.
emojis. That's definitely a good one.
What are just from the messaging side? What are some success stories that you've seen? It could be during, after COVID. That doesn't really have to come into play, but maybe a dealership that was sort of dabbling in with some type of communication device, chat. They sign up with Podium. What are some of the integration points that they've decided to latch on to, and where it's really just blew up for them?
Yeah. I mean, there's hundreds of them, right? I've been working here for 5 years, and I've helped bring on probably close to 1,000 dealerships myself, right? And the reality is like most of what we see is just having an all-in-one like messaging tool has really like changed the game for these dealerships. Like, because again, it really comes down to like, okay, I have my like, and just like your average dealership, they have a chat tool, right? And there's a platform for the chat tool. But what about Facebook Messenger, right? Does that integrate with the chat tool? A lot of times it doesn't. So then they only have one or two people working Facebook messages. How often are those people checking Facebook, and
If
then
anyone at all.
exactly, if anyone at all. And then like, what about, just like normal texting? Like, have you embraced Google Click to Chat? Like, how does that work? Who's in charge of that? And then they have a texting tool, whether it's just like, a one-off texting tool, CRM, whatever it might be. So we just start to see a lot of these dealerships, like, 3, 4 things they're using. And then it's like, well, what do you do for live video calls, right? And so it's
Something
another.
different.
And so most of my dealerships that have embraced it have just really enjoyed that factor of like, hey, wherever that lead's coming from, whether it's, web chat, Facebook Marketplace, even third-party leads, they all integrate into Podium where they can easily message them, right? And disperse these messages, and they can see, how their employees are taking care of these interactions, right? Like, how well are they doing? Like, what are their response times? And so really for our dealerships, like the two main things have been, the consolidation factor and, really like being more efficient overall. And then providing just a better experience and really just embracing like text message, like I think that has been huge, right? Like, I tell a lot of our dealerships, like half your battle a lot of times is, cutting through what we like to call fluff leads, right? And so I think we all know what a fluff lead is, right? It's johndoe@gmail.com. My name's John Doe. I'm interested in this, 2021 Ford Explorer, and John Doe emails you back one time and then you never hear from him again, right? And so you're having to kind of cut through all those leads, and that's just where a lot of that time just like is eaten up, right? Where, for us, it's like leads, yes, they're 100% important, and we want to get you as many leads as we can, but more importantly, we want to provide a higher quality of lead, right? Because it does a dealership no good to have 1,000 leads per month and you only sell 5 cars off those 1,000 leads. What if I only got you even 100, but you're selling 20 of those? It's the trade-off, right? What are you in it for, quantity or quality, right? And there's a world where both exist, but I think the higher quality you have will equal into more quantity of vehicles sold, right?
Always. So, you guys have Facebook Messenger. Bruce Hartz is asking if you're getting anything going for Google My Business.
Yeah, we were actually one of the first adapters of GMB messaging. So yeah, you turn that on and you integrate directly with Podium. Yeah, we did that. I think GMB messaging started around 2008, 17, 18-ish is when they first really started to launch it. And we were one of the first adapters of integrating with Google My Business. So,
which makes perfect sense because y'all are in the review business too, which we haven't touched on at all.
Exactly. And just to prove, right, like how much we've, grown and how innovative, we've been, right? And, this isn't to toot our own horn, but what's been most impressive and has kept, myself and, so many people here and, for a long time, right? So just tell you a funny story. When I joined Podium, we were heavily reputation, kind of started to dabble with text a little bit. So when I came over, we're selling to dealerships and we're selling the reputation tool. And I thought it was a great fit, and I was like, man, but this is kind of a niche market, right? How long can we keep growing here? And so I was like, maybe, Podium will be a 1-2 year run for me, right? And then, we'll kind of have to grow to the next thing. And then it's like, well, I'm going into my 5th year and easily could see myself here, honestly, I don't know. There is no end in sight, right? Because we continue to be innovative and build the tools that make sense, right? And really move the needle for our customers, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. This has been an awesome run to be on and, continue to grow and see the growth. And yeah, it's just not going to stop. We recently, I don't know if you all knew, but we recently just launched our promotional and campaign messaging tool as well. So it is something
I wasn't aware of that.
I got that email from Tyler at Podium yesterday.
Yep. So yeah, it's something we just launched. So, we're going to let, our customers embrace that SMS, those campaigns and promotional messaging, right within our platform. And again, just another place where they're going to interact with and move the needle more with their customers.
Are you sure about that within the automotive industry?
What do you
Dealerships,
mean?
they get a little, they get the hair trigger going on whenever you give them those type of rights, or capabilities, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. No, it definitely, yeah, it will always be a concern, right? But I think the one thing that we have shown in the automotive industry as a whole is our ability to adapt, right? I think sometimes, we get the narrative that yeah, dealerships sometimes are a little slower to adapt. They don't want to embrace digital, but we continue to adapt, right? And we continue to, thrive, right? Some of our dealerships have, even through COVID, saw record years, right? And really when it first started, I know everyone kind of hit the pause button for a week or week and a half, 2 weeks. And we're like, okay, what's happening? And then it was well, no, we're going to adapt and we're going to continue to do what we've done, and that's adapt and thrive. And now the main issue is I talk to some dealerships, I just don't have the cars to sell. I have the customers who want them, but I don't have the cars, right? And so, now we have to adapt to the used market, right? It's one of the things we have to embrace now, right? And how do we, become really well in that pre-owned environment? So. And so to translate that over to promotional messaging, yeah, I think, as we explain it and go through it with dealerships, they'll see the vision, and it'll be one of those things that yeah, it's just another thing we have to embrace, right? Just not calling someone when they tell you to text them, right? Hey, we'll just have to adapt. And, most dealerships are really good at doing that.
Well, Bruce has got another good question here. So, could you incorporate texting from a lead form? And there's a follow-up on this that I'll tackle after Isaac gives his response.
Yeah, with Podium you can. So it really just comes down to what the customer fills out on that lead form, right? So that's really what will happen. Like with cars.com, your car gurus, if the customer provides, the mobile number, then we incorporate texting on our end, automatically. If they don't and it's email, then we'll incorporate email, so we will still give them the ability to respond. So it just comes down to the channel that the customer provides. But if they do provide the mobile number, then we will always default to texting, just because that's typically the most convenient, form to communicate with your customers.
And I would highly advise any dealership to make sure that their lead forms have a disclaimer about texting and texting rates.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And also make sure that your third-party lead providers are doing the same.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's one thing we try to thrive in as well, is always taking care of the customer and making sure that we put the tools in place to make sure that they're protected. Right. So.
Yeah, for sure. And out of curiosity, and this is for getting better's sake, not for pointing fingers' sake. Is there an industry that does an amazing job outside of automotive, maybe even better than automotive, at handling messaging?
I don't know if they do better, but they've been impressive in the way they've adapted. Has been kind of our home services industry, right? Like, so think of like your plumbers, your HVAC companies, your electric company, like really like, because for them, like they need to really embrace that, because sometimes they're getting the message in the middle of the night. So they have to adapt. Like people are like, hey, I'm, in a 3 inches of water right now, my pipe burst, right? And so if they're not answering the phone, they better have embraced messaging so someone can, come out, right, and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know that they do a better job, but they've been really, really good about embracing the messaging and providing their employees with those messaging functionalities.
Do they embrace the emoji? Like,
A
my
lot of
pipe
them
burst,
do.
what do you respond with?
Just the explosion head, just like, oh no.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in the home services, now and not having some type of communication, text communication service. I mean, I would definitely, and I'm sure there's plenty of them out there that don't provide it. But I can't imagine, the edge it would give you on the competition out there, just from an ease of use, obviously efficiency, but most importantly, just the avenue of customer service.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it really, and then it really just comes down to, like, to add on top of that, even for businesses, like business to business transaction, we're starting to see that messaging has to be incorporated, right? Like that's what we're seeing as well. Like think about, like coming back to the dealership, how many vendors do they work with, just for just even like cleaning services and, their detail services, and like how easy is it for me to communicate with them, right? Because email is a channel that I don't think will ever go away. I will say that, right? Like it is, something that I think is just incorporated, but how many emails do we have? Like how many emails do we get, and how often do we miss an email, and it's like, oh man, I totally like got to it like 3 days late, right? And so even like business to business, we're starting to see just a high adaption of like messaging and texting, and whatnot.
Yeah. I would much prefer to work with a home services person through text and like Drew was saying now, get your invoices and, any, like I was plowing the other day and hit some ice and put the tractor into a ditch and had to call a tow truck to pull it out.
Way to go.
Yeah. And everything was done via text. It was great.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So cool.
I don't know if he was using Podium or not, but it was definitely convenient as hell at 5:30 in the morning. He was there by 6:30. So, yeah. But anyway, Isaac, is there anything else that really comes to mind that you'd want to share with the Dealer Refresh community today?
I like, as I think it as a whole, like, I just think I think like maybe the only thing I would share is like, it's continue to be innovative, right? Like as a whole, right? Like we can't, like, how do we get better if, we're always stuck in the same processes and we think our processes like are the best, right? And like maybe they do work to a certain point, like, but can you get better, right? And I think that'll be the challenge moving forward for us in the industry, right? Like, how do we compete, against the Carvanas and the Tesla models of the world, right? That, like, and I think the other one, like Vroom, like, just like we're going to see more of this, and like, so how do we continue to adapt and be innovative? And it really is going to, for us, has always been customer experience, right? Like the one thing that like no one can take away from us is the customer experience we can provide, right? And Alex, like you alluded to, people are willing to pay more for a better experience, right? That's really what it comes down to. So I think that's the one thing I would share, is let's continue to be innovative, continue to embrace, the basically where we're going with technology and where we're going with digital. And let's do what we've always done in the automotive industry and thrive when, people don't think we can, right? And so I'm confident that, there's, that this is one of the greatest industries, in the country. And it's been, for me, a great experience, right? Like it's fast. I feel like we're always moving, we're always adapting, and that's what I've loved about it. And I think it's something that we need to continue to do, right, as a whole.
When you're talking about innovation, where do you see chat going? I mean, chat was such a big thing in the automotive side, especially dealerships. But it's almost as if, why would a dealership still have a chat if text is so much easier? And there's nothing worse than being on a website that's got chat customer support, which is nice, but everyone's always multitasking. You're going from tab to tab to tab, and you forget that I was in the middle of a chat with this support, a support chat with this particular company, and that was 10 minutes ago, and I missed their message. Whereas if it was text, I'd have it there on my phone. I could walk away. Where do you see that going?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think like chat, like what the reason chat's there, and I think will continue to be there is FOMO, right? Like the fear of missing out, like the fear of someone, not being responded to right away, and like the fear of someone not wanting to text, right? But like they still want that information, and so the reality is like, yes, like I think there will, it's one of those like give and takes of like what you want to provide though, right? And I think that's where it comes back to quality versus quantity, and whatnot. And so, yeah, like live chat, like you get a lot of messages, right? And a lot of leads, but typically it's, again, like your name, your email. So I think that's the tough thing. And then look, there are high volume dealerships out there that I think get bombarded with leads. And so they feel like even with their employee and their personnel, they can't take care of them, right? And so that's why they bring on these services. So I think it's one of those things that as we move forward, we just have to continue to bake out that process, right? And so, and then just find out. Yeah.
Well, no, I was just going to say I've considered dropping chat, but one of the things that sort of keeps me on with it is that the fact that we outsource our chat communications. I'd love for the salespeople to do it, but I mean, if you listen to the phone calls 9 times out of 10, you don't want them doing chat as well. And especially with service, we get a lot of service requests through chat. So we outsource the chat. I work real close with the company that does the chats for us. But if I could get away from that, I'd really like to just migrate it all over to text. But then there's no services. I don't think you guys provide a service where you'll text chat with the customer on behalf of the business or the dealership. Is that something you guys
how many
considered
times a day,
looking into?
I got a different question there. How many times a day do you get asked to do a managed chat service or a managed text service, Isaac?
There you go.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, yeah, we get asked about it for sure. And I think, for us, it's always about painting that vision, and showing them that it can be done without a managed chat. With that being said, for us, it's also providing a customer experience to our customers. And so, I don't think we're ever, we're ever opposed to innovating ourselves, right? So it's something that, we take to the table when we're building out products, and it's something that we're exploring, right? And so, it's one of those things where, hey, we didn't do review response before, we do review response now, right? And so, we will continue to explore that. And, if managed chat is what our community wants and we've been asked about it, we're going to explore it, right? And if it makes sense, and we'll do it, right? We'll build what our customers need from us. So.
And then there is a question from the audience. There's been a few. One will say the request to show Podium on the screen, go take a demo. It's also worth seeing their sales process. It's pretty cool. And then the other one is very automotive focused. Does Podium integrate directly with Xtime to schedule service appointments?
Yeah, we have the capability to do that. It's not, I won't say it's a direct integration with Xtime, but we have the capability to, if someone, chats into service and says, hey, I need to schedule an oil change, we can set up parameters to basically respond with the Xtime scheduler link, and they can schedule their service via text message that way. So yeah, we have capabilities where we'll work around that and make it so. As far as a direct integration with Xtime, full transparency, we don't have that. But if you have an online scheduler for service, then we can build the process to where they can, schedule it themselves via text message.
I knew this one was coming from Rick Puffkin. So they use WhatsApp internally over there, and it's a big part of their process at the Beeman Automotive Group. Any integrations there?
We're exploring WhatsApp, right? It's come up, I think WhatsApp's been more adapted, in other countries, right? In other markets like Europe and whatnot. So our Australia, it's something that's been requested. So we're looking at it for sure. But if you're using WhatsApp for internal communication, then I would take a look at Podium, because we have an internal communication tool. So again, that is one less thing, that you have to manage or train your employees on and tell them, hey, download this app, and this app, right? It's no, just download Podium. We communicate directly through there, all direct messages. They can share messages with each other and some of the interactions they're having. And you can even create teams and groups where you can bounce ideas off of each other and collaborate with each other. Service, a lot of our dealerships really like it, because service, how often it's that repair's not worth it. Can you have someone reach out to me about, maybe the lease on an F-150, right? Or a Dodge Ram or whatever it might be. And they take down their name and number with the good old sticky note, and they run it over to the sales manager, right? Hey, this guy said to give him a call. He wants to look at it. His repair wasn't how much more effective would it be if they were communicating in text, and he could just transfer that message directly in a platform. And that's what Podium allows you to do, right? And so...
You just made me realize something. I've been on the tech side of the industry for, I think I'm going into the 11th year now, and God, wow. But chat has been a big thing in the vendor world. Everybody uses some sort of messenger. When I first started, we were using AOL Um, and then there was like Hip Chat, and now there's Teams and all that kind of stuff. So, but a lot of dealers still don't do that. And that's pretty cool that you offer that service. So that and I always thought it was very cool that the Beeman Automotive Group was using WhatsApp internally to handle these things, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm
Podium
surprised more
had it.
dealerships don't do that. And I've tried to implement it across a couple different, I should say, opportunities. I've taken the opportunity to try and implement it even here with this dealership, but I don't know why I can't get it to stick. It seems to just make the most sense. But I struggle with it.
I think, it just comes down to embracing it again, right? And
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things, like, is it all in one, right? Like, can my employees open the Podium app and they can do everything through the Podium app for all of that, and that's really like what our dealerships are able to see. So, and that's like one of the things that they've liked, right? So like I saw Dan said Slack. So think of Slack that lives within Podium. That's really what we've, in a sense built, but to be more interactive, to help the customer experiences, right? And to create better notification system as well for groups, right? Like we can set up notifications now if you get a bad review, right? Like, hey, like it'll hit a group, it'll hit the manager's group channel. Hey, we just got a bad review. Let's look into it. What happened? And again, just staying on top of those things. So that's really why we've built out our team chat functionality, and it's helped quite a bit. So.
Yeah, I love it.
Just a couple of little tweaks, and you guys could really upset the CRM market in the car business.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Wouldn't take much.
One integration here or there.
I don't blame you for not wanting to get into CRM, though. God.
It's one of those things. Like
But why do you need CRM? That's sorry, I'm.
Well, no, I know what you're saying.
I think CRMs as they were built 20 years ago, have become incredibly outdated for what's needed today, and we're just continuing to bend ourselves around old technologies that. We just haven't thought about. Go ahead.
Well, what's does it hold dealerships, to yesterday?
I'll ask a big question, and maybe we should have a totally different show about this. But what good is a CRM task anymore? How many CRM tasks are ignored?
Well, if they don't want to do them, they don't do them.
Yeah.
That's why I don't build out some long list of tasks in CRM. It's complete waste. They'll either work around the system, they'll figure out how to get rid of it. They'll, I don't want to say lie, but they'll come up with some reason to get it off the screen.
Right.
And today there's technologies that help get the consumers to raise their hands faster and better. Let them walk their way into saying, okay, I'm ready to do this, and here's how I want to do it. We don't need to, I am still getting the same email on my birthday that I programmed into iMagic Labs CRM in 2006 from my family's dealership. Yeah. It's the exact same.
Do they still use it?
No. I think they're 3 or 4 CRMs later, but they carry the same templates over. And I'm also still getting the same anniversary message on like the same car I had like 20 cars ago.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Yeah, and it's anyway. This is some unnecessary stuff, especially if you don't pay attention and change it up.
Yeah.
But sorry, Isaac. That's like I see you guys like the model that Matthew Haken uses at Prestige Volvo. And where I was hitting on, like they don't use their CRM anymore. It's a $2,000 chunk every month to them that the OEM requires them to have. And if Volvo didn't require them to have it, Matt would dump it tomorrow. And they would get their deals. They'd hand type it into Reynolds if they had to, and hand type it into DealerTrack. That's all they're using their CRM for now. they use Podium for everything else.
Yeah, for us, when we're asked about CRMs, and for us, it's always like, hey, like, we try to integrate where we can, right? And where it makes sense. And it does make sense for us to integrate with CRMs, right? Just because we're handling a lot of the lead flow. But I think ultimately, right, like it comes down to process and preference, right? Like what kind of process? Because like I think CRMs, I think sometimes they do add a lot of value, but are you using that value, right? Like, do you use all the functionalities? It's kind of the same thing I tell people when we're discussing like whether it's another chat company or another partner they're using. Hey, like like they have a 30 feature package, but how many are you really using? Like, so like, are you really like getting the bang for your buck? And that's really like what I think it always comes down to in anything. Like that's why we've built tools where we feel like, yeah, every tool, makes sense for them to use, right? Like I'm not going to give you something that you have no use for, right? It's a nice to have versus a will it actually help me to have.
Yep. That is one of the things I love about you guys is you stayed clean, clear, and simple in your product approach.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been the goal. So.
Well, again, this was we've tackled a lot of ground here about Podium. It was really meant to come on and talk about how payments have been handled since COVID, but it seems like every time we bring Podium on, we end up in some sort of an Ammer fest. So we are fans, obviously. And
yeah, I'm
forward
sitting
to the
here
next
thinking
thing
about.
coming out.
I'm sitting here sort of going back to my table discussion with myself around chat and where to go with that, and just using Podium across the board myself.
Right.
Maybe I'll get back into it.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely.
Isaac, I might have to give you a call later today.
Definitely do. Please do. Yeah, would love to chat again. So
cool.
All right. And
look, man, really appreciate you jumping on board with us today.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, no, it's always great, like, to have these conversations, and just overall, like, I think again we're lucky and blessed to say, right, to be a part of an industry that has been a staple in this country, right, and like continues to be. And so I think it's one of those things that we're lucky to be a part of this, and it's always exciting. So I continue to look forward to if I can, being in the automotive industry the rest of my life, right? And so that's how good it's been to me. So I've enjoyed it quite a bit.
There you go.
yep. It's the best industry, damn it.
It's the one that sucks you in.
Yep. Well, Isaac, we thank you for your time today. And anybody who wants to see Podium, we'd recommend checking them out. DealerRefresh has used Podium for a while and love it. It sounds like Jeff might be taking it on his dealership soon. And
well, we've been using the reputation management piece for well over a year now. Yeah,
that's right.
Yep.
So that's the tough thing, right? Like people know, like, we're still really, really, really damn good at getting dealerships reviews.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's
no doubt.
We won't ever forget our roots either, right? As we build out new products.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I hope not, because it's. I mean, we were using this a company beforehand, and once we brought you guys on board, we saw, and we were already doing really, really well. But even with that, we saw about a 15 to 20% increase in reviews. So, no, it was solid. I love it.
Yeah. Continues to be a factor in Google's algorithms and how often you show up on near me searches and generic searches out there. So reviews that's the thing. It really isn't just about like marketing and looking good anymore, right? It really is about helping you stand out, because Google uses it for their algorithm, right? So,
yeah. All righty, Isaac. Once again, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we look forward to doing it again.
We'll see ya.